1992 was a very long time ago now, and I was doing an awful lot of long distance running at the time. So my training was pretty consistent, long days every single weekend with a rucksack on, up and down mountains. During the week, I'd be doing a couple of fast sessions on a Tuesday and a Thursday. And because I was living in Glasgow at the time, I was doing a very fast run with the boys. No, I can't say that. With the men on a Wednesday night, that would have been a fast 10, 12 miler. So I was getting quite a lot of speed work in, quite a lot of hills in. And I was racing quite hard, doing a lot of long races at the time. So my background was very definitely long mountain days out on the hills. It was something I loved doing. It wasn't a chore. And I was enjoying it. I was racing quite well at a national and international level at the time. So my speed was pretty good. And I think that's probably what helped keep going at the rate that we needed to do, Martin and I on the Dragons back in 1992. I think I remember the endurance days paying off an awful lot towards the end in particular, when an awful lot of the other competitors were getting injured. I think the repeated days out really stood me in good stead. There was all sorts of shin splints and bad feet and all sorts of knee pains. And I think just the repeated pounding of up and down mountains and just being used to that really helped with the races. The racing at the time, I had a mentor, a gentleman called Martin Hyman, who used to help me by overseeing what I was doing. I think it's very difficult to be objective about your own racing, and it's really, really helpful to have somebody who perhaps doesn't follow books but can actually see what you're wanting to do and knows the best way that you work to have a look over your plans. And I remember him distinctly saying to me one day, "Helene, this would work for anybody, but for you, I think it's absolutely perfect." He did actually make me take some more rest days than I would have taken, and that obviously stopped me getting injured, so that paid off too. 2012 was a completely different ballgame. I'd been out of serious and competitive long distance running for quite some time beforehand. So I had 2 young children, and I was living in Harrogate, which isn't really well known for its big mountains, so training had to be completely different. I think the main thing that really helped me was having the support of my family. My husband, Jonathan, just was amazing. I could not have done it without him, because long distance running, as we all know, is an incredibly selfish sport. I remember my young babies, as they were then, saying, "Mummy, is it going to be a long run or a short run?" And a short run was a couple of hours, and a long run was I was going to be away all day. So that was their norm with me at the time. I started training 14 months before the race, and I had to start from scratch, and I mean from scratch. I had no base really to come back from, and I started planning some long races in. And again, I sought help of an independent mentor, a lovely gentleman called Pete Shields, who lives locally in Ilkley. And I remember him watching me run before he took me on, and he said, "Helene, there's only 3 things you need. You need to get stronger, you need to get fitter, and you need to get faster," which in my mind didn't really leave an awful lot else. So I sort of wrote myself a programme with his help, and an awful lot of friends helped me train along the way. A lovely gentleman called Dave Jelly, who's an outstanding trail runner, helped me with the faster, flatter runs, which I absolutely hate. I don't have speed over flat ground, and I knew I needed to get that up from the 1992 race. So every couple of weeks I'd meet with him, and he'd take me on 2 or 3 hour hard flat runs, faster than I would want to do, harder than I would want to do, and that was great training. And then at weekends we'd head for the hills, and I would run up and down hills with a backpack on, just training for what I was going to do. I went and bought some 1 to 25 maps that showed the slightly smaller footpaths, and I went and recce'd some of those. So a good friend, Ashworth, came with me for a long weekend where she drove the van and kept picking me up at various spots, and I went and ran all the tricky bits on the mountains again, rather like I did in 1992, where Mark Rigby had also helped me recce the whole of the Dragon's Back. The difference between 2012 and 1992 was that we didn't have that awful day in the Elan Valleys that I still can remember to this day. In 1992, we had a 10-mile stretch of road before we hit the Elan valleys. We ran the whole of the Elan, which I think anybody who's ever been in the army will forever remember as well. And then once we'd done that, we then had 10 miles of road again at the end. And then the final day in 1992 was also our longest day of the 5 days of racing. So Shane had done a really good job in 2012 by changing the route, making it far more user-friendly, a lot more off-road, and it was just kinder on our bodies, which was great.